Carpet Weavers, Morocco by Carol Rumens. Carol Rumens was born in London in 1944. She's a poet, author, playwright, and a former lecturer in creative writing. She's been a Fellow of the Royal Society of Literature since 1994. She still writes Poem of the Week for the Guardian newspaper. The key themes of this poem are the lasting power and importance of art, human collaboration, beauty and exploitation, and cultural identity. I'll read the poem now, but you can skip over the next slide if you've read it recently. Carpet Weavers, Morocco. The children are at the loom of another world. Their braids are oiled and black, their dresses bright. Their assorted heights would make a melodious chime. They watch their flickering knots like television. As the Garden of Islam grows, the bench will be raised. Then they will lace the dark rose veins of the treetops. The carpet will travel in the merchant's truck. It will be spread by the servants of the mosque, deep and soft. It will give when heaped with prayer. The children are hard at work in the school of days. From their fingers, the colours of all that will be fly and freeze into the frame of all that was. The title states a job and a place, so we may be expecting to see adults at work. The poem, however, starts with an image of children. Morocco, the country named in the title, is for an English reader at least an exotic place. In the first tercet, the children are at a loom, which is a contraption for weaving carpets or fabric, using thread or some sort of yarn, and it's from another world, and therefore the loom becomes a metaphor for a different world or a past world. It's a symbol that represents another way of living. Loom is a multivalent word. To loom over something is to be large and threatening, and has more sinister connotations than the noun. So whilst this poem seems to have a positive tone on first reading, there are potentially negative elements too, if you look carefully. The first big idea that I'd like to consider is child labour. We probably all have strong opinions about child labour and associate it with exploitation. But, contrary to our expectations, in this poem there's both a beauty and a purpose about the presentation of children at work. Their hair is braided, neatly plaited, presumably by a mother. Their dresses are joyful in colour, indicating they're well cared for, suggesting happiness. The alliteration and plosive sounds in the second line, braids, black and bright, combined with the assonance in bright, height, chime, creates a sense of purpose and even musicality about their work. You might visualize a wind chime or a xylophone with keys of different heights or lengths. The noise of a loom would indeed be a kind of music, and the children are creating art, an intricate picture woven into a carpet. The first stanza in particular appeals to many of our senses, blending tactile, visual and auditory imagery. We can almost feel their slicked back hair, see the colour of their dresses, and hear their chatter and the click of the loom as they work. There are also some diction choices which could be interpreted as negative in the poem. The phrase "their assorted heights" perhaps alludes to the commodification of the children. It suggests that they are not individuals but products in a process that is ultimately about making money. At the very least, assorted heights reminds us that some of these children are really little, and that children in Morocco might work throughout or at various stages of their childhood. We could argue that the beauty of the weavers in this poem is glorifying something that's not inherently glamorous, child labour. Ultimately, the carpet will travel in the merchant's truck. The noun merchant reminds us that this carpet is a product that will be sold for profit. And also the children are working hard in the school of days. The inversion in the word order here, or rather the insertion of the preposition of, is interesting. We expect to read school days, but of course the girls are learning through working and therefore not at school, which in a Westerner's eyes would be an infringement of their human rights. Notably, the weavers are female, and girls' education is still taken less seriously than boys in some countries. The poem is divided into 4 similar-sized tercets, indicating the repetitive or continuous nature of the weaving process. The use of anaphora, the children are, in the first and last stanzas also reinforces this. Note that nearly all of the lines end with a full stop, suggesting the coming to an end in a line of weave. It's repetitive work, and you might like to consider, is there something problematic about these children making a representation of paradise when they are having a less than idyllic life? We can see the paradox of exquisite artistry and cultural heritage emerging from something concerning the labour of children. The problem with this sort of discussion, however, is that if we judge other cultures by our own standards, we might be missing something valuable. After all, the process of weaving is artistic, it's culturally significant, it's associated with the girls' religion, and it's potentially part of their economic survival. In the second stanza, the children focus on their art like others might watch television. Knots are used at various stages of the weaving process, for instance to tie in other colours and to add texture. The adjective flickering describes the knots as being captivating or mesmerising, like a flickering television screen. The girls' intense focus results in something of beauty, and you could argue that this is surely a better use of one's time than passively watching a screen. The carpet presents a depiction of paradise, the Garden of Islam. In collaboration, the children have produced something magical, religious, sacred. This depiction grows as the carpet forms. The positive verb choice grow is associated with fertility and productivity and could also refer to the spread and reach of Islam. The children, the next generation, are connecting with their religion by making a prayer mat to be used in a mosque. As the children progress in their labour or in their art, depending on how you wish to look at it, the bench will be raised to enable them to complete the last section of the carpet. This literally means that the bench will be raised in height, but if we talk about raising the benchmark, it implies the setting of high standards and attainment. The children are attaining greatness or legacy through art. It's an intricate, skilled process as indicated by the verb lace, describing the finishing touches of the treetops. The hyphenated compound adjective describing the branches of the treetops as dark rose could suggest both depth and beauty, darkness and love. The children's weaving is a process involving dedication and devotion, and it creates something tangible, sacred, lasting. This poem was written in 1987, but given where we are now with AI threatening the arts amongst other things, you might like to consider how the work of the weavers is presented as a form of human connection. There are many weavers constructing the carpet, and then there is the poetic voice, obviously an outsider, looking on and admiring it. In addition, there will be the recipients of the artwork in the mosque, the wider community who will use it as a prayer mat. They'll appreciate its beauty and its depiction of their religion. So the woven prayer mat becomes a symbol of the interconnected nature of human beings, how communities can be woven together. And of course, religious worship is one way in which human beings come together and connect. The metaphor of the rug being heaped with prayer in the future illustrates that the girls are creating something of cultural importance. Finally, I'd like to take a look at the hyphenated phrases in the last stanza and the three lines that move from present tense, the children are, to future tense, will be, and to past tense, all that was. As the children work hard missing out on education, they are crafting all that will be. The use of the future tense creates a sense of hope and opportunity. In this moment, the children are constructing something that will be enduring. The carpet is soon to take on a life of its own as an art form when it flies from their fingers like magic. Notice all the fricative alliteration here and the rare moment of enjambment as the carpet takes on its future life. Once the finished product is created, the artwork will be frozen in time, i.e. it will be a physical object with a scene on it. Another name for a scene in woven form is in fact to freeze, so this is a multivalent word. All that was is history. It could refer to the children and their childhoods that have gone into this work. In this way, their childhoods are part of the legacy that is this piece of art. The physical object will stay the same or endure, whereas they will grow up, change, or even pass away. So the poem is about the enduring power of art. It transcends time. Not only will the beautiful carpet last, but the image of the children creating it will last in Carol Rumens' art, the poem. So even if you find some of the elements in this poem unsettling, I think on balance the poem is non-judgmental about a different culture. And furthermore, it makes us question our own culture. Do children like you benefit from the isolating, mind-numbing privilege of having the freedom to watch screens, for example? Carpet Weavers makes us think, and it celebrates art, human collaboration, and cultural identity. Thank you very much for listening, and do take a moment to give this video a thumbs up.